Hello everybody, happy Thursday. I hope you've all had a really good week. Week 2, we've nearly made it all the way through our second week. I'm popping on because I want to read the next couple of chapters of Room 13 to you today, and then you can head back to Purple Mash and you can have a little look at some of the questions and see if you can have a go at those today for your reading task. So we left Fliss just about getting on the coach. They'd all registered and they'd got on the coach and they were off ready to head down to Whitby. So chapter 5. Hey, look! A boy on the right hand side near the front of the coach stood up and pointed. Everybody looked. Out of the bleak landscape rose 3 white, dome-shaped objects, like gigantic mushrooms breaking through the earth. As the coach carried them closer, they saw a scatter of low buildings and a fence. The great spheres, gleaming in the sunlight, looked like objects in a science fiction movie. Wow! What are they, sir? Mr. Hepworth got up. That's the Flyingdale's early warning station, he told them. Inside those domes is radar equipment operated by the British and American forces. It maintains a round-the-clock watch for incoming missiles. They say it would give us a 3-minute warning. He smiled wryly. 3 minutes in which to do whatever we haven't done yet and always wanted to do. What would you do, sir? Asked a grinning Wasim Kader. What would I do? The teacher thought for a moment. I think I'd get a brick and throw it through the biggest window I could find. He smiled. I've always fancied that. Oh, sir, I wouldn't. I'd run to the Chinese and get a chicken chop suey 10 times and gobble it right quick. Yeah, cried Sarah Jane Potts. That's what I'd do. And we wouldn't have to pay, would we, sir? I'd get a big club and smash our Shelley's head in, said Eddie May. I hate her. There'd be no point, sneered a boy behind her. She'd be dead in 3 minutes anyway. The noise level rose. Excited voices called back and forth across the coach as everybody tried to outdo everybody else in what they do with their last 3 minutes. The fact that many of them would have needed several hours or even days to carry out their plans was disregarded, and the discussion continued till the vehicle topped the highest rise and Mrs. Marriott cleared her voice, drawing everybody's attention to the ruins of Whitby Abbey, which was now visible in the hazy distance. Gary Bazzard knelt, leering at Fliss over the back of his seat. See, that's where Dracula lives, in those ruins. Old Hepworth told us. Old Hepworth told you no such thing. The boy's remarks had coincided with a lull in conversation as everybody had strained for a glimpse of the Abbey, and Mr. Hepworth had heard it. Old Hepworth told you that Bram Stoker, who created the character of Dracula, was inspired to do so after seeing the ruined Abbey. Dracula does not live there or anywhere else. He is a figment of Bram Stoker's imagination, Gary Bazzard, and sometimes I wish the same might be said of you. So he's reiterating the point that that Dracula is a fictional character. He's completely made up. He came out of the imagination of Bram Stoker. However, and he also wishes at some point that Gary Bazzard was a figment of his imagination. I'm sure you could probably all work out why that is. There was laughter at this. The boy's cheeks reddened as he resumed his seat. Fliss smiled faintly, gazing out at the distant ruins and beyond them to the sea. It was 12:10 when the coach drew up outside the Crow's Nest. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkinson, who ran it, were standing on the top step waiting for them. Lisa flushed, remembering what Mr. Hepworth had said about it being all her fault. She hoped he wouldn't point her out to the Wilkinsons as being the culprit. "Check under your seat and on the luggage rack," warned Mrs. Marriott, as everyone stood up. "Don't leave any of your property in the coach." The children checked, then filed slowly along the aisle and down to the pavement. It was sunny, but a breeze blew from the sea, making it cooler than it would now be in Bradford. The driver went round the back and started unloading the bags and cases, which their owners quickly claimed. Fliss looked at the hotel. There was something vaguely familiar about the steps, the porch, even the breeze and the distant sound of the sea. When everyone had their luggage, Mr. Hepworth led them into the hotel. Fliss looked at the iron bird on the black gate. For a moment, she thought it was meant to be a gull, but then she remembered the name of the place and decided it was probably a crow. Somebody had made a poor job of painting it. Drips had run down the edge of its wings and hardened there, giving them a webbed, spiky appearance, so that it looked more like a bat than a bird. So that last part that we've just read, what association is Fliss beginning to make? What links is she beginning to make between something that's happened earlier in the story and what's happening now? So little bits of information just being dropped in by the author, which is gradually building up that suspense. Okay, we'll move on and we'll start chapter 6 next.